your first home game is important. I think it sets the tone for your fan base for the entire season, but it just so happens to be our first conference game too. And as much as we wanted to win last week, we also know that there's no trophy given at the end of that game. There's no jewelry, no designation of any kind to the winner of that game. But this one counts, and this one counts towards being able to play for a trophy and for rings. And you asked about the fans. We're a lot better team when our fans are there, our students, the citizens of Boca, Palm Beach County. We need you for sure, because when that stadium's packed and rocking, it is definitely an advantage. And coming into this week with the team that we're playing, we're going to need every advantage we can get. And I had last year, our first home game was very impressive, and I think so. The challenge is out there. You know, we can do a lot better even, and I think we will.
Jayshon mentioned something that he thought was a struggle, led to a struggle in the first half, was lack of protection and then just having to scramble. I'm wondering, after watching the film a little bit, is that something you recognize maybe? And if so, what have you guys done to address it?
It was certainly a problem. It wasn't the only problem, nor the biggest problem. We certainly didn't match up well. We've got 4 new starters up front for us, and you're playing a Big Ten team that can roll some quality athletes in and out, and so we thought we had a good plan to not leave the offensive linemen on an island all the time, and so we involved the backs, and the backs did well, but they had some breakdowns. The tight ends did well for the most part, but had a breakdown or two. So it's absolutely, that game was a great illustration of the differences in offense and defensive football. You look at the defensive numbers, they look great. We made plenty of mistakes, and I have a ton of respect for Coach Smith and what he's building there at Michigan State. He's the right guy for that job. But their offense just didn't expose the mistakes that were made, but there were plenty of mistakes that our defense made that we need to correct and get corrected in a hurry. You look at the offense, and there were, a lot of times 9-10 guys doing something really, really good, and one guy has a breakdown, and the play is a bad play. And that, to me, you saw a whole game full of something I've known for 40-something years, being around this game, is that offensive football is very synchronistic, and when you're truly only as strong as your weakest link, and we need everybody at their best when their best is needed. And so, protection was an issue, but there were a lot of reasons for it.
Coach, I just want to ask you about Cam a little bit. Obviously, he took quite a beating last week, a couple of hard hits. He was holding his hand again, something seemed to be up. Now it's been a couple of days. How is he feeling? Is everything good? Is he
good? Yeah. He got X-rayed after the game on that hand. Not really sure what happened. It was when the ball was out and he was diving for it. Something kind of tugged on his finger. But yeah, nothing broke, and he practiced full today. And really, a silver lining, to go on the road and play a tough, physical Big Ten football team and come away really with a couple, bangs and bruises as your only injuries. Feel good about that.
So Coach, quarterback Bryson Daly scored about 78 yards and rushed for 2 touchdowns. So what does the defense need to do to stop Bryson Daly?
Well, I heard the end of Bugs's talk with you guys, and hopefully you hear the word eyes more than this week than you've ever heard, because the offensive football, or option football on that side of the ball, they want you to be chasing the ball. But if you read the keys, you read the people you're supposed to read, they will tell you what the play is, and the ball won't matter. You'll be in the right gap at the right time, and so it is. As a head coach, these are some of the most nerve-wracking weeks because I've seen us play lights out against these kind of teams, and I've seen us struggle. And sometimes when you struggle, it's hard to unstruggle and make adjustments in mid-game. So I think we've got a great plan. We believe in the plan. We got to stick to the plan because you can't. That's one thing I found playing these kind of offenses too. You can't. As much as you want to be multiple, to not feel like you're a sitting duck, you can't rule every blitz and coverage in front up to every play they could run again. It wouldn't work. And so we're going to be very simple. We're going to use our technique, our fundamentals, our athleticism, and then if our eyes are in the right spot on every play, we'll have a chance to succeed.
Just circling back on Cam real quick. Obviously, he's a very aggressive runner, some late slides a little bit, kind of almost inviting the big hits. Does that concern you at all? Like,
yes.
Are there any injuries and things like that?
Yes. We've talked about it. Obviously, this was my first game coaching him, and so we're kind of learning each other a little bit. And so I think from now on in those situations, you'll probably see him dive forward a lot more and protect himself that way. But also, he understands too. I mean, his legs are a huge weapon, and he's on scholarship, and our collective's paying him whatever they're paying him for the whole package too. And so he gets that. That's part of his game, and I think you'll see him be a lot smarter at the end of those plays moving forward.
Coach, very stellar performance out of your defense, especially against the run. How reassuring is that going into this week where Army's going to want to lean on the run a lot for most of the game?
A little bit. It would be more if we were playing a team where there was carryover, where you're seeing inside zone and counter and power. So the style of run is just so completely different. But the fact that we got guys on the ground, the fact that we were gap sound for the most part, the fact that we did make plays on the ball in the pass game, all those things. Our defensive line got off blocks, against a really big, strong offensive line. So those are all things to be encouraged about. Now, there will be zero carryover from a scheme and assignment standpoint.
You mentioned the success versus blocking. Chisholm, Ifanye had a 40 snaps. I think he won 42.9% of his true pass snaps. What did you like from him in that first game? Do you see him being a real threat for you guys off the end this year?
Yeah. I don't. Is that Coach Sabini's grades? Or
I saw that on PFF.
Is he publishing his grades?
I saw it on PFF.
Oh, PFF. Yeah. So it must be true.
Maybe. I don't know.
No, Chiz had a really good game. He showed why we have him. He is very explosive off the football and can do some really good things pressuring the quarterback. Got to be better against the run. If we're talking about Chiz, probably got pushed around a little bit in the run game more than we like. So excited about him and what he can bring from that standpoint, and I think you're going to see him become a more complete player too.
When it comes to your offensive game plan for this week, is there anything specific you're focusing on in terms of how Army is in trying to attack you? Like you mentioned how on defense, Army has a very unique offense, but from the offensive side of things, is it more about execution, or is there something specific you're really trying to hammer home this week?
Execution, I think they're really good on defense. I think their free safety number 6 is a hell of a player. Their outside linebacker, pass rusher, 95, I believe, is a heck of a player. So they're going to have some talented dudes. We'll match up a little bit better up front, and so, and on the perimeter, so, and I think what Army does, to be honest with you, they're a little bit more multiple than I expected in playing the service academies. They're usually kind of, we're going to line up and do this, and we're going to do it better than you. And they blitz a little bit more and throw some unique coverages at you. They get a little exotic on third down. So I think we'll know for the most part where they're going to be. I don't think our guys will be confused a whole lot on offense, but we're certainly going to have to execute because these guys know what they're doing and they do it really well.
This is FAU's first time ever playing Army, and with the history of FAU being a military air base, how important is this game to you and to the school?
Well, I think anytime you have a chance to, I told the team on our Monday meeting yesterday, like, I respect the heck out of these players, and we were asked about the tradition of singing, or standing for their fight song at the end of the game. I said, are you serious? Like, why would that even be a question? Of course we're going to do that. And so my father-in-law, who's been an extremely positive male role model for me in my life, served in Vietnam in the Marines, and so any chance we have an opportunity to pay tribute to the men and women of our service, I think we do, and so much so that our 4 main phases of special teams are named and after different former FAU football players that had military careers, and we've got one visiting for the game this week that we'll get to know a little bit and pay him some tribute. So we have a ton of respect for what these guys do. It's hard enough being a Division I football player. I don't know if what we demand of these guys, time and life, that a lot of people are cut out for it. But then you throw in all that other stuff that they got to go through. The truly remarkable young people that I always know. I know this is going to sound sappy, but anytime, I've never played Air Force, but anytime I played Navy and Army, I get a little bit more optimistic about the future of our country and of our youth. That knowing that those 2 institutions and our Air Force Academy still produce men and women like that, it makes me feel like we still got a shot here, and my kids still have a shot to have a pretty decent country living in.
Looking at the wide receiver position,
We're not like sponsored by PFF or anything, right? I'm not gonna get in trouble like Lane did with Coca-Cola.
No more PFF questions. No more PFF questions. But what did you like from the groups that you sent out there in week 1? And do you see Jayshon, Omari, and Dom being your starting guys, or more rotation?
Yeah, I think those guys have earned it, but not to any great degree where you're going to see them play, 80% of the snaps. I think those guys have certainly earned the right to jog out there first, but it'll still be pretty rotational. I think you'd like to be my ideal receiver room, because we're no huddle, because we want to take some deep shots and challenge people down the field, and we do ask a lot of them in the run game and motion and all that. Like first and second down, you'd like to be able to rotate guys, and maybe you have a specific guy for a specific route or something like that. And then maybe settle on your third down guys. These are the trusted guys, like they get their rest on first down maybe, or if they're getting tired, get them out on second down because they need to go back in on third down kind of guys. And we're not there yet, but those 3 guys that you mentioned, would be the leaders of kind of having that trust designation. But I think we're comfortable too. We need more production. We need more separation when we get guys near us. But I think we're comfortable with the rotation and kind of the way it worked out in game 1.
Coach, last week you guys only scored 3 points in the first half and mainly stuck to the ground game. You guys only passed the ball 9 times for 21 yards. Will there be a change in aggression this week against Army, maybe playing through the air a little bit more, or can we expect more of the same?
I don't know. That wasn't by design. In fact, I didn't even realize we only threw 9 passes in the first half. I think we scrambled probably on quite a few of them too. Yep. So no, that certainly wasn't by design. But we do know. Again, you've got to be very cautious with your play selection on offense against these guys too. In my opinion, Lehigh had 3 possessions in the first half. Yeah. If we're only, we had 13 against Michigan State, you're going to cut that in half. You better be able to not go 3 and out a lot. And so your question was about being more aggressive in the first. Yeah, I think ideally that might have felt that way had some of those passes gotten off that he scrambled on. But we would like to push the ball downfield, but also know this week it's also important to keep drives alive.
Do you think maybe he was pressing a little bit because he obviously came out in the second half, looked a lot more composed, passing the ball a lot more? Do you think maybe that was kind of like a confidence issue in the first half last week?
I don't know, confidence. He was obviously more settled in the second half. Why he appeared unsettled in the first half, not real sure. Because the kid's a pro. He's got a lot of starts under his belt. He's played in a lot of stadiums and all that. So, I saw what I needed to see certainly in the second half of him settling down and having command of the offense to feel like anything that could be described as unsettled in the first half, I think was an aberration.
In regards to the running backs, they had a similar workload on Friday night. What did you see out of that unit? Is that like your plan to keep working them the same way? Yeah,
and we're until Khalil gets back, we really only have 2 serviceable tight ends right now. Elijah is still coming off of a concussion, so you saw us in some 20 and 21 personnel. To get, we're healthy and we're deep at that position. Jamari Sands probably deserves to play a little bit more, but we felt good about that rotation and kind of the carries and all that. They played well, not perfect. One of them gave up a sack, and we were a little impatient on some runs at times, but they played well, and we expect them to continue to do that.
It felt good, especially the situation in the game. We were down 16-3. We needed some points on the board. It felt good, but it kind of felt regular just because we was losing. So it didn't really hit me like that until it still didn't really hit me like that. Still, it just felt normal. So.
How about thoughts moving into the Army game this weekend? How preparations have gone? It's kind of been wet both of your 2 days.
Yeah, I feel like we've been practicing under these conditions since fall camp. Some days it's real hot, some days it rains. Some days it rains and it gets hot. So I feel like we're used to that, and the preparation's been going good.
Questions?
You led the team in receivers and snaps, and you kind of took on those more snaps towards the end of camp there. How have you kind of got going about stepping into that number 1 receiver role?
Just doing whatever they ask me, just doing my job 100% effort. That should be it.
After last week's performance, what are you looking to build on this week against Army?
Just doing my job 100%, whether it's blocking, getting somebody out to play, whether it's catching the ball, and just being that leader for my group.
From your eyes, what kind of wasn't working in that first half offensively, and what have you guys kind of gone about trying to change, I guess, if anything?
We didn't have too much time in the pocket, so we were scrambling a lot. But I trust Coach Fry this week and his game plan to have that right for this week.
Talk about some of the chemistry you and Cam have built in your time together so far.
Me and Cam, since he got here in the spring, we've been just throwing routes on air going to the field on off days, just throwing the ball back and forth, and getting in the film room together, watching film. That's built our chemistry a bunch.
When it comes to this specific offense, right, you know, you're taking on a considerable role. What goes into your mentality for preparing to be a featured player in this specific scheme?
Same thing has always been since I got here. Like I said, just being that leader for my group, just going hard, no matter what the circumstances is. But if I just had a bad play, I got to snap back and get back to it.
Cam took a lot of hits out there, but he kept battling. From your perspective, what is it like seeing a leader go out there and just keep battling like that?
I mean, I respect him a bunch because after that first hit, I didn't even think he was going to get back up. After the second hit, I didn't think he was going to get back up, but he just kept playing the whole game. So that just showed he wanted to be there for us, trying to help us win that game.
You're one of the few players that has experienced an FAU game day going into Saturday's game. What's the excitement like for the students and for Owl Walk?
It's very exciting because first off, the Owl Walk, you walking through all the fans, students, so that's getting us hype. And then just the games, I love the atmosphere here because especially when we're winning, student section definitely packed.
Coming up with first play of last week's game, what did you see? And did you have any doubt that would go your guys' way?
Well, pretty much, we were in man-to-man, but when there's two receivers on the other side, I traveled over. That's what we've been working on, but we technically made the wrong check, but obviously it ended up working out in our favor. And yeah, I knew I was in. I had my left foot down the whole time, so once they was like, "Oh, we're gonna replay," I was like, "I know we got it." I was telling Coach Harris like, "Yo, we gonna get." He was saying, "No, people on the mic said." No, I'm like, "No, we gonna get the interception," and then ended up giving it to us. So I felt good.
You guys held Power 5 team defensively to just 14 points. I know there's no moral victories, but what do you take away from that game and use heading into this week?
We're going to be a really, really good defense. Obviously, it's just the small things we got to work on. Like we gave up some touchdowns that we shouldn't have gave up. And, it's just us, working this scheme, just getting with Coach Rock and just making sure everything's rock solid. And then it goes to what I said before. Like, I feel like our backing could guard anybody in the country. It doesn't matter who you are.
Michigan State was 1-9, trying to target against you and Day. What was working for you guys out there in coverage? And did you guys kind of expect to lock down like that going into the game?
We always expect a lockdown like that. Like when we go to practice, we tell each other no catches today, or offense don't get nothing. There's nothing special out there. It's the same thing over and over. Just trusting our technique, trusting our coaching, like the coaches tell us all the time. And we hungry dogs out there. So it's a big stage that everybody wants to put us on, but we've been there before, so it's not anything new. We wasn't out of the ordinary. Our heads wasn't gonna bust because of the 70,000 people there. It's really just trusting the coach and locking in on the field because the outside doesn't matter. And we just focus on our technique and the whole game, and that's just what's the outcome.
Army is really run heavy in the way that they do their offense. Aside from one big play last week, you guys are pretty exceptional against the run. What are some things that Coach Rock has really emphasized that have kind of prepared you guys for long days on the ground?
Really just reading your keys and doing your job. Army is a lot of moving pieces to the triple option scheme, and so your eyes in the wrong spot or you're trying to look for the ball, that thing's going to crease and go for 60 on the ground. So it's really just emphasizing everybody doing their job, everybody playing strong, everybody being mentally tough because obviously it's going to be hot, but you're going to be just doing your job over and over and over. No matter how bored you are, keep doing your job over and over and over again. That's really what we're stressing, just following your keys, doing your job, and that's just all we really focus on this week.
When the defense met at halftime on Friday, what was kind of the message Coach Rock was sending that allowed you guys to come out in the second half and hold them scoreless?
Freeing our keys and doing our job. Obviously, we gave up a touchdown and that we should have been locked on. So it's really just everybody just doing their job and continuing to keep being great. We were doing well. Obviously, we've given up some small things, but really just us going in and doing our keys and really doing our job at a higher level. Obviously, because the second half we were down, we got to do it at a higher level than what we were doing before. So that's pretty much what was the message. Just keep doing your job and do it at a higher level and reach your keys.
From a DB's perspective, is playing against a team like Army a bit boring, or is it still fun to you to kind of get your nose dirty in the run game?
It depends, but game day I probably will be happy and excited because I get to play with my guys. I get to have fun. But I mean, during practice, like they said, it will get boring doing the same thing over and over and over again. But obviously, I'm just trusting my teammates to do their job, and I'm just doing my job. I mean, reading my keys and just doing what I have to do.
What went into your mindset and preparation for last week's game, and then beyond that, what are you looking to build upon in week 2's matchup against Army?
Nothing special. Just doing what I've always been doing. Coming here, trying to get better every day. Treating practice like a game, and when doing that, I got my body real conditioned and really ready to play. But there was nothing special going into last week's preparation. It's just really just doing our job and trusting the coaching, reading keys, and just getting better every day in practice. And then obviously what we're going to build on is just being a real dominant defense, not giving up anything. We give up some small stuff, but it's really just not giving up anything. Everybody doing their job, trusting each other. We trust each other, but we're trying to build on that trust and just make sure everybody's doing what they're doing, so that way we don't have to question or second guess anybody doing what they need to do.
All right. Thank you. Appreciate it.